Hello, Chad. How are you? Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
Thank you for my awesome mask.
Board approved.
Did you get to see a lot of people while you were delivering?
A few. I see George joined us. George gave me a tour of Hobbits Hill. Yay. Hi, George.
Nice.
Yeah. And a few people wanted.
George is muted.
Yeah. A few. There. I unmuted George. You can talk now.
Okay, yeah, thanks for taking the time to look around. It was fun, and I was so impressed with your knowledge of the garden plants. And I mean, you even knew all about pickling. And when you
I had a mother and
said
grandparents who pickled.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and no, I was really impressed. I had no idea you had that kind of knowledge. No, it was fun showing you around.
Well, thank you.
And I love the mask. It's really a neat mask.
Yeah.
It's my best looking mask. I've got a collection now.
In this
Jim.
age, you have to.
Don.
Hello, Jim. Don's there somewhere.
Chad, that was a good. Chad, that was a good article you wrote.
Thanks. I had a nice assist. Karen's good with some of the wordsmithing of content that seems to be, she's good at smoothing things out.
I wanted to ask you and Karen something. I've written a annual report about my work with Ragus. As the vice chair of Ragus, I'm supposed to write an annual report. Would you like for me to send that to the two of you?
You can.
Yeah, sure.
You know, if you want to use it on the website or parts of it, I'd be very happy to do that. I know you have a section on human trafficking at the website. Okay, I'll send it to you both. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, George, where was it? I was reading about, there was down in Tennessee, there was something about I'm not sure Rotarian, but something about a child trafficking thing, and I can't remember. Anyway, I wanted to save it for you and send it to you.
Yeah, please do. But I think it was Georgia.
It was in Georgia.
It was
Well,
Georgia.
not the trafficking rings. This happened just recently, and it wasn't in Georgia. It was something. It had something else to do.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know if it was a law that got voted down or something.
no, I don't know about any.
Okay, I'll try to do some research and get.
I would really appreciate it because I really need all the help I can get to know what's going on throughout the country, especially if it involves Rotary.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Karen.
Right. Well,
I'd be grateful to get that.
It's Rotarian outreach, even if they're not Rotarian involved. That we can always contact local Rotary clubs, get them on board. So,
Karen, are you on my blog post, my anti-trafficking blog post?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you know
I received the newsletter.
When things are reported me,
Yeah.
I then put it on the blog. I'm
Okay.
up to almost 1,300 subscribers now,
Wow.
and most of them are Rotarians.
Yeah, that's good.
How do you get to that? How do you get to that, George?
I got the permission from our last governor to put all of the new presidents on the blog to actually subscribe them.
Yeah.
And every time I make a presentation, I've done 10 clubs. I give them the information if they're really interested in keeping up with what's happening to get on my blog. And I've gotten, I would say that every week I probably get 2 or 3 new Rotarians asking to be put on the blog.
Huh. I might have missed that invitation, but if I wouldn't mind being put on that.
Well, all of our boards should be, or whatever. Hello, Andrew. Hello. Hello, Stu.
Should it be? Would it be coming to my email?
George is gone.
Yeah. Glad to see Andrew here today.
Oh, come on, you can sing it.
I was gonna have Jim Patton sing if you weren't available.
I like your background, Andrew, wherever that is.
It's actually off the coast of Oregon. It's the sun setting off the coast of Oregon.
Well, I'm an Oregon graduate, so probably walked by there some point in time. Although there weren't the forest fires as there are now.
Hi, Chris.
Chris Knapp is here. Hello, Chris.
There's Chris. Good.
I'm not muted, so I guess you can hear me. I better behave myself now.
Now we can hear you.
We can hear you.
So I hear that we're being recorded, which I think is great. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I will need the screen share when we get to my part.
Okay.
You bet.
I just set that
Mr.
up.
Patton, have you heard from your brother lately?
Other than just holding up at home mostly. I think he's made a trip or two to Chicago to see grandchildren.
Okay, well, he's been brave, and that's good. I've made it to a couple Rotary meetings in the area because they were not doing Zoom. And that's about as far as I have gotten out of Iowa City. And I guess I can talk about football since the Hawks aren't playing, and I'm glad we're not playing the Cyclones next week after the drubbing they took. They will certainly be up and at whoever's playing whoever they're playing next week.
I agree.
Very politically correct comments.
It was two mistakes gave Louisiana the game.
Yeah. I believe we have a bye week. Hello, Blooms.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Bye week. That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Well, I say there's a former district governor beside Mr. Patton on. Hi, Del, Georgia.
All right, Georgia, we can hear you now.
Okay, good.
Do you want to hear us?
I didn't know if you were saying hello to Chris.
Oh.
Oh, Chris.
Hey, what cup of coffee are you on, Del?
First one.
Oh, okay. Hi, Gerald. You're on mute, Gerald. Gerald, you can just press down the space bar and hold it down and speak.
Hi.
There
Good
you go.
morning.
Howdy.
That must be a new trick. I didn't know you could do that.
Yep. Yeah. Space bar is like an easy on, easy off, like on the old two-way radio.
Nice.
Nope. You have to hold it down when you talk and then let it up when you don't want to be heard, Gerald.
So if I put it down and talk now?
Yep. Right. And then as soon as you take your finger off it, we can't hear you.
Oh, that's okay. Very
So take your finger off of it, Gerald.
I think I'll leave it down the whole time.
There's Mr. Cyclone himself. Mr. Johnson, how are you?
I am actually still sad.
Got to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and get ready for another week, right?
I know we got 2 weeks to fix it.
You will. You will. I have great confidence in the team.
We're at 36 and growing. And growing rapidly. Number of participants. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Well, looks like we've leveled off here in the number of participants. We're at 42. We could probably go ahead and get started. It's always probably heartwarming when people log on and they hear one of our music committee singing the Rotary Welcome song. And I'm always fired up and excited when I see the music committee on here to sing the welcoming song. So I'm going to mute for a moment, and I'm going to allow Andrew Zbaracki to unmute and sing our welcome song. Go ahead and take it away, Andrew.
Thank you. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Nevada, London, or Gay Paris, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be welcome at Rotary.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. And before we go on to our next slides, this is the time, oh, before we go to our birthday slides, this is the time where we'd actually take a moment for those who might need an extra thought. And I haven't heard specifically of anyone in our Rotary family today who might need an extra thought, but you know, given the continuing violence in many of our cities, that we need to hold a lot of our citizens in, make sure that we are thinking of them. We also have people who are losing their homes and towns to the western wildfires. We just need to make sure that we keep them in our thoughts as well. And on a much lighter note, because this is certainly not a problem and nearly the significance of those, let's hold our Cyclone players, our coaches, and our fans, give them an extra thought as well, and let's just pull for them to come through. So if we will just take a minute for all of those folks. All right, wonderful. And then even though we're halfway through September, this is the first meeting we've had in September. So it's only appropriate that we wish a happy birthday to all the Rotarians that you see on the screen. So I certainly will not sing happy birthday out loud, but I will in silence to them. Also, I hope, again, since we're halfway through the month, I hope you weren't waiting on the Rotary Club to remind you of your September anniversary. If so, that could have caused some problems. But you can see there's a list there, quite a few Rotarians celebrating their anniversary. 30 years of marriage for the Cressies. Congratulations, Gene, on that. And thank you for being a member. Look at that, Bill Whitman, 50 years in September. So happy anniversary to Bill. And look at all these other ones. We really like to see all of those numbers, and even focusing in on some of those that haven't been with us that long. They're the growth and the future of our club. So excited to see all those numbers as well. Let's see, other announcements. Yeah, mask, look at that. I don't know if a lot of you probably got a surprise visit, or maybe not a surprise visit yesterday from Karen, but she was so gracious to deliver so many of these masks. And guess what? There's only 2 left. So if you haven't got one, look at these things. Those look sharp. So Rotary People of Action masks. Next 2 people to email Karen can buy a couple of those masks for $10, and with that $5 profit, we're actually making many masks using kits to donate to school-age children. So not only are we getting cool masks to wear while we're out in public, we're also helping the kids stay safe and making masks for them. So only 2 left. Karen probably already got 2 emails, Karen, on those. So only other announcement, unfortunately, 7 new wild polio cases last week. So that's challenging. Again, we're down to Pakistan and Afghanistan. 3 wild cases in Pakistan, 4 wild cases in Afghanistan. So again, so close. 2 countries, 2 ongoing challenges, but we just need to continue to fight that fight and eradicate that horrible disease. That was the only announcements that I had. By the way, your board will be visiting about our meetings October, November, and December. Those of you who enjoy these Zoom meetings, I would anticipate these will continue and the recordings will continue. But we're talking about, can we facilitate some in-person meetings safely within the guidelines of what would be safe in our large gatherings and eating. And so if you have a strong feelings one way or the other, just feel free to email Karen, email me. We appreciate all the input on that, but your board will be continuing to talk about what that looks like for the 4th quarter of 2020. Yeah, so I think Susie Shearholtz asks, what makes a wild polio case? And thank you, Chris. So Chris answered that. Wild means it was not vaccine derived. So unfortunately, as these vaccinations do occur, some of those do unfortunately cause someone to potentially get polio, but the wild occurrences were not as a result of those vaccines. So just naturally occurring out in the public. Thanks for the question and thanks for the answer. And so now it's a great lead in because Chris just answered that. Right now we have a special guest. We have several special guests. We have Steve Dakin. I saw Steve Dakin, our district governor, current district governor, District 6000, is on our call today. So welcome, Steve. And again, in our club, a few past district governors, as a reminder for all of you, Del Bloom, Jim Patton, Don Goring, and now we're joined by another one, Chris Knapp. So Chris Knapp, that was only, what, 4 years ago, I think, Chris, that you were our district governor for District 6000. But Chris is joining us today as our District 6000 chair of the foundation committee. And I've been around Chris enough to know that he is a wealth of Rotary knowledge. I also know that in our meeting today, we're not going to have to manufacture any energy for Chris because he brings it all himself. So, but we're excited about that. He's been a longtime Rotarian, member of the Iowa City AM Rotary Club. He is married to Vernette, and I know they've been very active locally in the district level and beyond for so many years for Rotary. So it's exciting to have him here to talk about one of his passions, which would be the Rotary Foundation. And if you have any questions for Chris, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if he doesn't see them, we'll go ahead and ask those at the end, or raise your hand, and then we'll let Chris address those at the end as well. So Chris, hopefully you'll save a few minutes for questions at the end of your talk. And at this point, we'll just go ahead and let you take it away. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank you very much. I'll need to share the screen if you would, please. Okay, got it. I want to thank everyone for signing in today and being part of this Zoom meeting. I'm so happy that so many of our clubs across the district are meeting. A few can meet in person, and many are meeting with Zoom or a hybrid of Zoom. We do have about 6 clubs that are not meeting, and I am very concerned for them because they are missing out on the fellowship and what is so necessary to help them survive the challenges that we have. And speaking of challenges, the Rotary Foundation is a tool that we use to meet challenges, and we'll be talking a bit more about that in the very near future. I want to tell you that I am here to talk about our foundation. We call it the Rotary Foundation, but in reality, it is our foundation. We put the money in. It is invested for us for a total of 3 years, the year that we put it in 2 additional years, and in the 4th year, 50% of that money is available to come back to the district, and 50% of that amount in our district is used for district grants, those community-based grants that we use and that you have to apply for every year. You have to go for the grant management seminars and fill out some additional forms in order to participate in that. And then the other 50% of that money that comes back to our district is used as a match in our district for our global grant opportunities. The 50% that stays at the Rotary Foundation is in the World Fund, which is used to match the grants that are applied for by our district. So we get to use all of that money. And to let you know right now, we have all the money used up that we have available to us as of this past Rotary year. So we are exploiting the opportunities to use our Rotary Foundation. I'm going to emphasize that again and again, and we'll talk more about it. So let's take a look at this very first front page here. And then you see up in the left-hand corner, the end polio now. It was just mentioned we've had a couple polio cases. I think you are all aware that Africa is now polio-free because Nigeria was declared polio-free. That doesn't mean that they won't have an occasional case, usually vaccine derived. And I want you to understand that every child that we can in the world is being vaccinated whenever we can find them and locate them. And we have to vaccinate every child in the world because very much like the coronavirus, it is just a plane ride away. And so we need to nail this virus down where it's at. And right now it's in 2 countries that are still endemic, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And they are having the challenges of infrastructure, civil war that's going on there, and also education, literacy, all these things which when you look at the 7 areas of focus now, not 6 areas, I'll talk about 7 areas of focus here in a few moments. The 7 areas of focus, if we could incorporate everything that we could do with the Rotary Foundation in Pakistan and Afghanistan, we would be able to overcome this polio issue in those countries very rapidly. But right now, we are having our volunteers are being protected by the Pakistani army when they go out and give the purple pinky to the children who are being vaccinated. So think about them. Think about when we give to the End Polio Now campaign, we are protecting the children here in the United States and around the world, and we are giving children in those countries the opportunity to grow with a normal life as can be expected without at least the polio curse with them. The center picture up there, of course, is the past Rotary theme. That was during Governor Tom Narrick's year. The most recent one is the present, which is the Rotary Connects the World. That was Governor Aaron is. And the one that we're in right now, Rotary Opens Opportunities. And really, that resonates so much with our Rotary Foundation. And down in the bottom hand corner, you see the Rotary Foundation, and we're at 105 years so of the Rotary Foundation, and it's a great, great program. Well, here's a typical Iowa countryside scene. You drive across and you see these silos. Of course, might be wind turbines now, but let's talk about silos because I want to use the acronym silos. These are centers of influence. And the challenge we have with centers of influence is if they are not connected in a business, and this is where the centers of influence term comes from, in a business, if they don't communicate with one another, they often go off in their own areas and they don't bring a synergy. They don't bring the energy of working together to the business to help the business grow. And in Rotary, we have 3 areas of influence that are so important to us, and they are membership, public image, and the Rotary Foundation. These 3 areas have a relationship to one another, and we'll get into that here with the next slide. So, membership numbers grow. If we keep our numbers up or grow, that means we have more Rotarians who are hopefully able to give to the Rotary Foundation. And as more Rotarians give to Rotary Foundation generously, we have more money available to us to do the activities of the Rotary Foundation, which is to build world peace and understanding through the use of our resources in the Rotary Foundation to change lives. How do we get people to join Rotary? Where do they understand? Where do they have the first touch with Rotary? And many times, and it's sort of like those masks that say, you know, Rotarians at Work masks, public image, branding, marketing. That is what allows people to ask us, what's Rotary, and gives us that 30-second elevator speech to let them know that we are proud to be Rotarians of a great organization that is doing so much in the world for peace. And we ourselves do not personally
Uh-oh. We'll give Chris a minute to reconnect here. Karen, do you see Chris?
Nope. Let me see if I can email him quick. Hello, Gene.
Does anybody have a joke? I don't.
I was wondering who was going to pick up his presentation where he left off. We'll pick the first person I see. Let's see, Glenn Ripke, if you don't mind finishing Chris's presentation.
Well, I think where he was going with this was that we need to get membership up to keep the foundation healthy.
See, I knew you'd be qualified.
What's happening with the contributions of our club?
Most are staying
Pretty
stable. Most are contributing, but we certainly do have a few that have stopped, probably due to COVID.
I see Chris is back, but he's muted.
Oh, there he is.
Chris, come back to us, Chris. Where is he?
He's still
Unmute.
muted. He needs to do his space bar trick. There he is.
There he is. All right, Chris, you're back.
Okay. Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you. I apparently lost my connection. Okay, let's get back to this slide here, which is, move me to it. Okay, so here we are with this bottom slide. The bottom red line represents how much.
Make sure you
We're not
share.
seeing you.
Make
Oh,
sure
okay. I'm sorry. I lost everything, didn't I, with that? Okay, let's see if we're back in now.
You can see your screen, but not the PowerPoint yet.
We'll get it right there. Here we are.
There we go.
Okay. I apologize for our bad connection here. Okay, this bottom line here, the bottom red represents polio giving by our district in the years that you see, which go from 2016-17, which was my year, up to Steve Dakin's year. And as you can see, we have no numbers for Steve's year yet because of the time lag. But as you can see down at the very bottom, we had over $100,000 was given in all of these years. We've had spectacular giving to the End Polio Now effort. And please remember, as you most likely do, there's a 2-for-1 match that we get with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And as I've joked in the past, we want to take every single dime we can from those people and use it to eradicate polio. The next line up represents how much money was given by Rotarians in that year to the annual fund. And that's the money that we were talking about previously, where 50% of that money comes back to our district. So in the year 2016-17, we had almost $500,000 was given to the annual fund, which means that we had over $230,000 was available to come back to our district, to which we had $115,000 approximately to use for district grants, and we used almost every dime of that. In fact, we are using almost every dollar of our money that's available for district grants to our district grant opportunities in our district. Now, let's go up to the big purple line you see there. That is how much money is available in our district in that year to use for the giving of money to the annual fund or to the district grants and to the World Fund and to the global grant efforts. And again, we have been using all that money. We have no money in the till right now because we have pledged it all for current grants that are working, as well as future grants that have been put into the pipeline by clubs like the Rotary Clubs of Ames. The blue line on top of each of those sets represents how much money was used by our district for district grants. And this year, our district grant committee met. We authorized 30 grants for $101,507. And that was 29 Rotary clubs doing those 30 grants. And that is spending almost every single dollar that we had available to us on district grants. Now, the money that we did not use on district grants goes into our global grant pot. So we never lose that money. We get to use it all. Now, what is this itty bitty little bar you see at the very left on all these bars going up? That represents the number of Rotarians we have in our district during those years. About 10 years ago, we had about 4,100 Rotarians in our district. We are now down to 3,500 Rotarians. And this is one of the challenges that we face in helping our foundation maintain its efforts in the world, in that with fewer Rotarians giving around the world, and in particular in the United States, we have fewer Rotarians in the United States than the rest of the world does in the way of growth. We are going to lag in the opportunity to do the great grants programs that we've been doing, not only in our community, but around the world. So one of the things we need to think about is how do we get Rotarians, people, to join Rotary? And then number two, how do we engage them in what Rotary is, which is the Rotary Foundation doing great things in the world. Now, I mentioned that we have 7 areas of focus. The brand new area was just put in place, but let's talk about this block of symbols here. Let's start up in the upper left-hand corner with the apple and the book. That represents basic education. The next one over represents maternal and child health. The one in the top right-hand corner represents peace and conflict resolution. The one below that, water and sanitation, which your club is so engaged in. Below that represents economic and community development. To the left of that is disease prevention. Think about polio eradication, think about COVID virus and things like that. And the brand new one, supporting the environment. These are the 7 areas of focus. Supporting the environment has just come online this year, and the first global grants to be enacted on that will take place this coming year. If you look to the right in those words that are printed, over 12 years, the past 12 years, our district has initiated 95 global grants totaling $5.2 million, and we have impacted over 900,000 people. That's our district. That's just our district having that sort of impact. So think about the 535 districts around the world, what they are doing and how it makes use of our foundation dollars. Now, here comes the ask, so to speak, or the way that you can resolve my ask. You can give every Rotarian every year $100 per year. You become a sustaining member, which means you have dollars going against your credit card on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. You can give quarterly. Many of us do that with our quarterly billing that we receive from our club, where we can put money to the foundation. We can do a bequest. And during my year, I don't know how many of you remember, not only did we raise $477,000 for the annual fund, we raised over $1 million for the endowment. And the endowment is money which is pledged today for the future. And it usually comes through a bequest out of a will. And those dollars go into what we call the permanent fund, or the endowment now is the new name for that. And the income from the money that is contributed by our members in our district, when they mark the share box on the bequest, on the endowment form, the income from that comes back to our district. And right now we are receiving about between $30,000 and $35,000 a year from the income generated by money that has been given to the endowment by Rotarians in our district. The Arts Club Society is for people who have the ability to be very generous, and you can name those funds, you can direct those funds. That's $250,000 or more. And we have about 8 Rotarians in our district who are strong participants in that area. Paul Harris Society, if you give $1,000 a year, you can be recognized as a Paul Harris Society member. And we have approximately 90 Rotarians in our district that are giving $1,000 or more a year. And that is what has helped us maintain our ability to have almost $400,000 a year every year available, which means we have $100,000 available almost every year for our district grants, and $100,000 to match our global grant requests from our clubs. Major donors, outright gift. If you give $10,000 over a period of time, you are recognized as a major donor. Benefactor gets back to Bequest Society. You fill out a form which says that you have put into your will that the Rotary Foundation is going to be a beneficiary of some assets from your will. You send that off to the Rotary Foundation, and that puts you into the benefactor level. That also means, of course, that you've contacted your attorney and you've had a codicil or you've rewritten your will to accomplish that. You can send cash, RMD. Next year, folks, I'm going to be 70 and a half, and I get to start paying money on my IRA, taxes on my IRA. I can give money directly from my IRA to the Rotary Foundation. Helps me qualify my RMD. 100% of the money that I give from my IRA goes to the foundation. I don't pay any taxes on that. That's a win-win for me and for the Rotary Foundation. So think about being an RMD contributor if you fall into that category. The last couple slides before we get into some additional comments. Rotary International rolled out this mission statement 2 years ago. And I think it really is 24 words that really puts into place a very succinct comment about what we try to do as Rotarians. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. When you think about what you do as Rotarians in the communities that you live in Ames in particular, think about how you are bringing lasting change to so many people's lives with your reading programs and the other activities you do, let alone think about the impact that you do with our global activities, especially with the Tanzania water projects or the VTTs, the vocational training teams for the Ponseti method, or the training of midwives in Nigeria. All these things are creating lasting change in the world. But not to be outdone, the Rotary Foundation has its own mission statement, a bit longer, but still very succinct. The mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. And this comes down to those 7 areas of focus. If you think about what those words mean, those words give you the basis of what we are trying to do with those 7 areas of focus. Finally, as I get ready to open myself up for questions, the steps of giving to the foundation, matter of fact, the steps of becoming a Rotarian, it's a journey. It's not something that you, as soon as you put that badge on, you suddenly have the emotional intuition to give to the Rotary Foundation and to exploit what it does. But we give because we want to. And that means for any organization, be it to the Iowa State Foundation or to a charitable organization, be it your church and so forth. We give because we want to and we can. And it's not automatic. We see where the need is. We feel what the need is. We learn about how we can change people's lives, and then we act. That is what we get to do through the Rotary Foundation. So let's go back just for a moment to talk about that $400,000, but let's talk about this dollar that we give. What is so important to understand about our foundation is that when we put money into that foundation, our foundation, we actually get to tell the Rotary Foundation where we're going to spend it. When you give to other foundations, it is rare that you have the opportunity to say, I want the money to go specifically here. I want the always to go there. With our foundation, as a collective group of people here in our district, our clubs get to work together to spend our money the way we want to. And it's so important that we take advantage of that. But if we don't put money into the foundation, there's no money for us to take out and to meet the challenges of the virus, of food insecurity, of water challenges in Tanzania, or to provide books or computers for students or medical equipment in hospitals here in our communities or around the world. We need to give to the foundation generously. We need to be consistent if we can. We need to encourage more people to become Rotarians, become engaged in service, to give to the foundation, and then have them turn around and help us make decisions where we are going to spend our dear dollars that the foundation has. So that's my presentation. I'm open for questions about what we've been doing in our district and where we're going and what can happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. We had a question in the chat from Jeff Johnson. If you happen to know, he was asking about what was the specific return that the investment assets provided this last year for foundation, and maybe what is the balance of our current balance of the foundation account.
Sure, I don't have very specifics on it. They're almost always a year behind, but we're getting a 5% return on average, even in the downturns of the economy, on the share portion of what's coming back to us in the endowment. The other part with the annual fund, when we put money into the annual fund, the Rotary Foundation invests that money. That the income from that money while it's being invested for the year that we give it and the 2 additional years afterwards is the income that is used to operate the annual fund. And our return out of the annual fund, our ability to spend money out of the annual fund is at 95%. We have a 95% return on our investment at that point. In other words, for every dollar we put in, 95 cents of that dollar is available for us for our district and global grants. So those are, now as for the endowment, they are trying to get to 1.5 billion and we are closing in on the 1 billion mark now. So we're making great progress. And I'll have you know, he is very modest about this, but our past district governor, Herb Wilson, was one of the founding supporters of revising and reinvigorating the endowment process. And he was instrumental in getting the endowment fund up and running along with some other past Rotary International presidents.
Just as a reminder and more of a comment, but Gene Cressy has reminded us that locally here, supporting the foundation has returned and benefited us in Story County. So there was a district grant of $10,000 a few years ago that supported the summer enrichment and meal program in Ames, and there's 200 children that are supported through that effort. So she thanks all of you. We thank all of you. The money does come back, and there's one perfect example.
I never just talk about what you have done as a club, by the way. You gave over $50,000 last year in overall giving to the Rotary Foundation. $23,261 of that was to the annual fund. $10,545 was to the End Polio Now, and then you have another $16,200 that was given outside of that. Your club average per person giving was $128. You beat the district, which had the average of $113. So kudos, congratulations, and thank you so much for the engagement that your club is showing. But as I say, when I've been a trustee of my church and it comes time for the stewardship campaign, it's good, but it's just not good enough. We need more, and I'm joking to some degree, but more Rotarians giving generously like what your club is doing is going to let our district do so much more.
Liz Beck, thank you for reminding us as well that in the last 3 years, the World Fund has supported 3 global scholars at $30,000.
And out of that, by the way, Liz, when our global scholars come back, our Rotary scholars come back, they have the opportunity and obligation to speak. And now, of course, with so many clubs being engaged with Zoom, you can even have them speak to your club today, so to speak. So don't hesitate, folks, to ask to have one of these Rotary scholars who has benefited from the scholarship grants of $30,000 to speak to you about what they have experienced, what they're going to be doing with their education.
Yeah, we have, and we plan to have more, I think next week, actually. So that's our program for next week. Other questions for Chris while we have him, such a valuable resource?
Please, folks, do consider doing a community grant next year. Remember, it's up a $5,000 match, which means if you have a $10,000 project, which you're talking about, all you need to raise is $5,000. You were talking about a district grant. By the way, Governor Erna requested and we received $25,000 from the Rotary Foundation for the foods insecurity. And with that, it was matched by over $27,000 that Rotarians raised. We gave that money to the Food Bank of Iowa, and they distributed it across District 6000 to the various food banks. And with the power of their purchasing power, that $50,000 plus became over $200,000 in food purchases. And that's just the power, and that just shows you the impact that a dollar given to the Rotary Foundation, how much of it can come back and impact our communities. We could never raise that $400,000 on our own, but we certainly did it with using charitable organizations like the Food Bank of Iowa, the Rotary Foundation, and the Rotary Club of Ames, and all the other 65 clubs in our district.
Chris, we had another thought and question come in from Carol Custer. In light of our nation's current discussions on how we can improve inclusivity, has the Rotary and the Rotary Foundation talked about how they might be able to improve race relations across our country?
That's a great question. It really does come down to, and we have, when you go to international conferences, when you go to zones, and zones are when you have multi-districts brought together in geographic areas to have educational opportunities to learn more about inclusivity, which is what you're talking about here, and to improve relations, let alone all the other things. We are talking about the outreach that Rotary needs to do by bringing members in. And that is one of the challenges that we face, is that we do not really look like the communities that we live in many instances. And we need to be stronger in having outreach and identifying future leaders, young people, as well as older individuals, to be members of our club, to help us understand the challenges of culture and the clashes of cultures that we have in our communities, and that would make things a lot better. So Rotary is recognizing that. We have programs, we offer satellite clubs, we offer all sorts of new styles of clubs. We have veteran clubs, which are, these interest-focused clubs, which sounds like it could be a challenge for not being inclusive. But what Rotary is recognizing is that we have the ability to be, under our umbrella, a club of many cultures, multicultures, that should be working together. And they're trying their best to give us the tools to do that at our zone meetings, our international conferences, to learn about it. So yes.
Thank you, Chris. Don't see any other questions coming in at this point. Don't see any hands raised. So Chris, thank you. Your knowledge, your efforts, we applaud what you do. You give so much of your time, you and your wife both give so much of your time and passion and energy. And so we thank you. We appreciate you joining us. And I know all the time it takes to present to all of our clubs in our District 6000. So thank you for leading those efforts. And I'm sure Chris would be more than happy to converse with any of you who had additional questions about how to give, or what you're giving to, or ways that you can more directly see and feel what that impact is. So, so thank you. And
thank you.
Yep, a good reminder from Karen here that Rotary Club of Ames gave $11,145 this year to the food bank program. So that's a good reminder as well. So it looks like we might get out a little early today. I know that if you are a member of the Centennial Celebration Committee, Jeff has reminded me that you'll be getting an invitation to a meeting coming up here soon this month. So thanks, Jeff, for leading those efforts. And if you are a part of that committee, please look for that communication. Next week, as we just discussed, we actually have a returning Rotary Global Scholar, and that's Sydney Bergman. And Liz, she is, let's see, her year at the London School of Hygiene and Topical Medicine. So that should be very interesting for our program for next week. Thank you, Liz, for organizing that. And our quote for the week, so I thought this would be appropriate, but I know we referenced Arch Clump. Arch was the father of the Rotary Foundation. And in December of 1928, this is what Arch said. He said, "The Rotary Foundation is not to build monuments of brick and stone. If we work upon marble, it will perish. If we work on brass, time will efface it. If we rear temples, they will crumble into dust. But if we work upon immortal minds, we are engraving on those tablets something that will brighten all eternity." So thank you to Chris for helping to bring about our awareness of the foundation. Thanks for Arch for starting that up. And we will now say our four-way test as we conclude our meeting today. So of all that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And a reminder, there's a board meeting after this, so we'll look forward to that. Thanks, everyone, and have a great week.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.